Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Goff Rugby Report Major League Rugby 2021 Draft Show. And we've talked about who are some of the top players. We've talked about some of the issues about how the draft works. We've talked about who we think maybe teams will look to draft. And now I have 7 pieces of advice for drafted players and soon to be drafted and hope to be drafted players. So let's get going.
1.
Number 1, don't have a party. Now, it's not quite exactly that, but it's an extension of advice we've seen in various other sports, where they have the draft show and, they have everyone in an auditorium and they have like 30, 40 guys who put on their suit and ready to be announced and brought in, given the jersey, and then they don't get drafted as highly as they thought they would, and they're just sitting there, and it's just the saddest thing. Now, if you're excited about draft night and you're ready to have a party and something like that, tone it down. Get some friends together. So if there's like 3 or 4 of you who've all declared for the draft, maybe you get together then, and then you can congratulate somebody. But there's a good chance you're not going to get drafted, and you had this whole thing, you thought it was all set out, and then it doesn't happen. It's brutal. So I would suggest not doing that.
2.
Number 2, club rugby is still cool. Yes, so if you aren't drafted and you're looking around, first of all, for what to do next, and you don't get a call from a team to start off with, well, then find a city that you want to be in, maybe that's near a Major League Rugby team, and play for that club. It's just the club rugby is still great rugby, still a lot of fun. Remember, we started playing rugby because it's fun. And a lot of times, those clubs, well-established clubs, can help you find a job. They can help you find a place to live. So help you get started. So you're all started there, and he's like, okay, this is pretty cool. And, you look at the quality of play. We just had the Club Sevens Championships. First time we had a major club championship in a while. And you saw the great play we saw from Chicago Lions. That was a team that was bolstered by some collegiate players that they recruited brought in because they're so great at helping get them started. That's not a terrible thing. Do some research, look around, because you're not settling. You're actually making a smart move if you think about club rugby to help either boost your options for pro rugby or just boost your options in general.
3.
Number 3, training is important. So let's say you get drafted or you get signed or you're said, well, why don't you come and train with us and we'll have a look, something like that. How you train is crucial to you getting time on a professional team. The chances of you immediately waltzing in and getting starting time and playing, 60 to 80 minutes, games virtually nil. You have to show that you're willing to put in the work training. If you train well, if you continue to put the effort in, even if like for 3 or 4 weeks, you're not getting a sniff of a bench position, let alone a starting position, that's when coaches notice. Somebody's going to notice you. And, if your coach at your MLR team doesn't notice and doesn't care, well, maybe you should be looking somewhere else. Somebody will notice, and probably a coach that moves on to another team will notice that you put in a lot of work. 4, and this is not just for underclassmen, but it's for everybody, players who are out of school, getting drafted, undrafted free agent, all of these things. Get an education. And what that means is, if you're in school, you should be getting your education to give you something that helps give you a career, helps put a roof over your head, food on the table. And if you're a Major League Rugby player, you should have the time and the ability maybe to get a postgraduate degree or finish your degree, or even if it's not something formal like that, maybe there's some training. Maybe there's something like, for example, San Francisco Golden Gate, well known for having a connection to the electrical industry with Wells Electric, the Wells brothers involved in the club, and they employ rugby players. Now, who knows? Maybe you're like me, a history major, but you start to learn a little bit about the electrical business or the plumbing business or something like that. You still learn, you still get an education because it gives you some options in terms of your employment and supplementing your income as you try to chase the rugby dream.
5.
Number 5, overseas is still an option. Now, when COVID settles down, which it will eventually settle down, it'll be a little bit easier to do this. But remember that there are clubs all around the world that are worth playing for. Now, you're not going to get paid a lot of money. You may not get paid anything. What you might be getting is, the whole, we'll feed you, we'll find you a place to stay, something like that. But remember that a little bit of experience overseas, 1 or 2 years, that's the world is built on that. And New Zealanders and Australians build their entire sort of adult life on that kind of experience for 1 or 2 years to go overseas. Sometimes they never go home. But it's something to think about. The idea that, again, you broaden your horizons. Now you're getting a different kind of education, but it's worth a shot.
6.
Number 6 and 7, we're thinking about the law changes and the law trials. And so as you're looking ahead to either, getting drafted, getting signed, not getting signed, trying to get signed, all of those things. Couple of things to think about with regard to the law changes. If you are a back, you have to start working on your kicking skills. Both your catching and your gathering of rolling balls and figuring that out, but also the whole 50-22 thing. Now, and if you're not really on top of that, all that means is the law trial that's going on now is if you kick the ball from within your half, and it lands in the field of play inside the opposing 22 and then goes into touch, your team gets the throw in. So now the ability to kick and aim it and bounce it into touch on long range is a really useful skill, and it's going to be called on more and more. If you have that skill, if you're able to handle that skill well, if you can show up at training and go boop, left, boop, right, 45 meters, no problem, rolls into touch on a regular basis, people are going to like that.
7.
For the forwards and for people who don't really want to kick, the other thing is talking about the fact that balls held up in goal are now going to be a goal line dropout to the defending team. That can work out to be a good thing for the back line, but maybe not what you want to do. What they're trying to do is avoid having you bash and bash and bash and bash. So if you're going to bash against that line, body position is absolutely crucial. So low body position and strength in contact are going to be paramount for you as you show up and you start training. And I've seen a lot of film of very powerful rugby players who aren't going into contact low at all. They're going up upright. Well, that's not going to help you score any tries like that. And you combine that with the other law trial, which is that only one player can latch onto you to help drive you over when there's no maul, right? You're just running in, somebody grabs you. Only one player can do that. You can't get two. So you're going to have to do that on your own. You're going to have to be able to be low and strong and still balanced enough that you can drive with your legs and score. Because if you don't score and you're held up, it's a kick all the way down the field for the other team. So that's it. Just a little bit of advice, a little bit of life advice, a little bit of rugby advice, a little bit of planning advice. That's the draft. Remember, I'm not a massive fan of the draft because I think that the game maybe isn't mature enough for that, and players aren't getting paid a lot, right? You're being told to move across the country for just a few $100s a week. It's not a lot, so you have to take care of that stuff yourself. That's it for good luck with everybody in the draft. Good luck to the teams drafting as well. It's not easy, and we will see you next time. You can support Goff Rugby Report financially. If you go to goffrugbyreport.com/support-GRR, and for everybody who's helped us, thank you very much.